everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's that time again. June went so quickly, but it's time for us to prepare for July and set up our bullet journals if you are setting up your bullet journal as well. So grab a cup of tea, grab your notebooks and let's get to it.
Okay, so here is my monthly setup for July, and the theme that I've chosen is Jamaica. I am half Jamaican, and with everything that has been going on with the protests and all of the things, I just really wanted to use this time and this month in my bullet journal to really celebrate that part of my heritage. So I'm starting off by drawing the Jamaican flag. Interesting fact about the Jamaican flag, it is the only national flag that doesn't have the colours red or white or blue. So there you go, your fun fact of the day. I also decided to use the colours on the Jamaican flag as the basis for the theme as a whole, rather than choosing a specific doodle. When I was looking at pictures for inspiration, I couldn't really find any doodles that I thought really encapsulated what I wanted to do with this theme. They were either very specific to reggae, which I didn't want to have a reggae theme, I wanted a Jamaican theme, or they were doodles that were just generically tropical, like pineapples or melons or palm leaves, which I thought were just too generic. And I'm not a good enough artist to have done something really artistic, like draw aspects of the landscape of Jamaica or draw famous Jamaicans throughout history and culture or something like that. So that's why I decided to make my focus the colours of the flag rather than specific drawings. I think the good thing about that decision is that you can really take this theme idea and use it for any flag or any symbol, whether that's a national flag or a symbolic flag or anything like that. So this idea is something that is quite versatile. At the top, I've written the month in green, and the font I've used, I stole kind of from a Sandals holiday poster. I thought the font looked cool, so I stole it. Because we're still in quarantine mode, sort of, I'm still using a one-page calendar layout because I don't really need a two-page layout at the moment. Having said that, I have been able to keep myself busy. I'm finding myself able to do more things. If you've been on this channel recently, you'll probably notice that I'm making more videos. I've been taking part in more kind of artistic collaborations with writers and also my own things. I'm getting back into regular singing practice, which has been amazing, and I'm really enjoying singing again. I'm just really enjoying it. So even though I'm still not at a point where I feel I need a two-page calendar layout, I do feel like I am keeping myself busy and motivated. There's still a ways to go with that. I still don't know what the job situation is going to be like. At the moment I'm still furloughed, but who knows how long theatre will last. It's a very, very scary time for us all. But we're muddling through. On my next page, I've got my monthly tasks and my Spanish words list. So this is 2 spreads in one page, same as last month. And at the bottom, I have done a few doodles. I've done quite a few doodles to do with music. So there's a guitar, there's a djembe drum, which is actually an African drum. But when, again, as I was looking for images for inspiration and I was looking up instruments from Jamaican music, djembe drums came up quite a lot. I imagine that's just been carried over with this African slave trade. They brought djembes and other percussion instruments from Africa with them. Thumb pianos was also an image that I saw a lot, which I know are also an African instrument originally. We've also got a vinyl record, and also not musically related, but we've also got a bottle of rum and some alcoholic drinks, because Jamaica has the best rum. Don't at me if you can't handle the truth, we just do. We have the best rum. Along the middle, dividing the two halves of the page, I've just done a zigzag pattern. You'll notice on this page I've also used red as a colour, as well as yellow, green and black. And this is deliberate. My Spanish word spread is around the theme of words of protest. And red, yellow and green are the colours of the Rastafarian flag. They're also the colours of the Ethiopian flag. The Rastafarian flag is very much associated with reggae music, and reggae music is not only a massive part of Jamaican culture, but it's also a very protest-heavy genre of Jamaican popular music. So I thought incorporating the Rasta flag colours on this page with words to do with protest, I just thought that was very fitting and very resonant. The reason I'm choosing this month to focus on words of protest for my Spanish word learning list is because it's just on my mind a lot. I feel that in this time of lockdown where we haven't had our normal distractions, it has allowed society on the whole to be more aware of the injustices that are in our systems of governance. And I think that's one of the reasons why there has been so much protest action in recent weeks, as well as the catalyst being some of the awful things that have happened. And I think that is very important. I definitely feel more so than ever that we're living in the middle of history, especially with the reaction of some of our governments to everything that's been going on. I definitely think history books are going to be written about what is going on right now in 2020 if the pandemic wasn't enough. So I wanted to kind of pay homage to that by using colours from another key part of Jamaican culture. Because Rastafarianism was born in Jamaica, it is definitely something that is deep rooted within Jamaican culture. I don't say this as someone who knows a lot about Jamaican culture. I've never lived in the country, but definitely as a mixed race person, as a British person, when you think of Jamaica, when most people think of Jamaica, you think of reggae, you think of Bob Marley, all of those things. So it would be silly to deny that that is not something that kind of imbues our views of the country and what the country is today. So now we're moving on to my sentence of the week. Whenever I've done this spread, since I started doing this spread, I've always written it in cursive hand lettering, but it just didn't seem right with this theme. So what I decided to do is, for the title and for the memory of the month, I used the same sandals font that I used for the month name at the beginning of this setup. And then in the boxes, I've just used my own handwriting. Throughout most of these spreads, I've just used my own handwriting, which has been quite refreshing because my last few months I've been using mostly cursive. So it was nice to have a break and have a really easy writing experience setting up these spreads. And then at the top, I've doodled the Jamaican national flower, which is Lignum vitae, and the Jamaican national bird, which is the doctor bird, which is a type of hummingbird that is only found on the island of Jamaica. I decided to doodle them as outlines rather than colouring them in. I'm not really sure why I decided to do that. I think it looked a bit cleaner, I guess, subconsciously. Lignum vitae is a beautiful flower. It's this lovely purpley lilac flower. It looks kind of similar to cherry blossom, except for the part in the middle where the pollen is a lot longer, but it has 5 petals like cherry blossom. The petals are more leaf shaped, whereas cherry blossom has the divots. That's the only difference. Now I'm on to my habit and mood tracker. I didn't actually finish this spread in this setup. I really want to reevaluate and think about what habits I'm tracking. And because I might be switching up what individual habits I'll be tracking in July, the categories I put those habits in may change. As you can see, I have written out my old categories in pencil, but I decided not to go over them in pen for this setup video and give myself a bit more time to think about what I actually want to track. I think that's the great thing about bullet journaling, is that you can really customize it and think about what's working for you and what isn't, and change your setups and your layouts accordingly, rather than with a pre-printed planner where the planner decides what you're tracking and what you're not, and even if it's not working for you, you kind of feel obliged to use that space or to use the planner in that way. And then around the edge of the table, I've written all of the major towns and cities of Jamaica, and I've written them in the order so that if you were to go on a road trip around the island, starting in Kingston, the capital, and going anti-clockwise, the order I've written all of the destinations in is probably the order you would go. So I thought that was quite fitting. It would be nice if I was able to draw the island accurately and actually have a map with them all written on in the right place, but I did not trust my artistic skills to be able to draw a convincing outline of the island of Jamaica. So that is something that I did not do. It was really interesting when I was thinking about this theme and reading more about the island and about the Caribbean in general, how much I didn't know about Jamaica before making this spread. I knew bits and pieces, I knew that it used to be a Spanish colony before the English took it over, but I was also reading about the indigenous people of the Caribbean, which I definitely want to learn more about. Learning about how actually a lot of people in Jamaica don't think that independence was necessarily a good thing because of all of the socio-economic problems that the country has had since independence due to bad governance, which I think that's another issue that colonialism has to reckon with, is the fact that European countries who colonized countries in the Caribbean, in Africa and elsewhere in the world, when those countries wanted their independence, they didn't help those countries be able to look after and govern themselves. They kind of just went, okay, fine, do your own thing. And so these countries have had to figure out how to govern themselves from scratch. And that's something that they didn't have to do. I mean, they wouldn't have had to do it if we didn't colonize them in the first place. So anyway, we're now on to my final spreads, which are my weekly log and my positives and gratitudes logs. My weekly log is the same layout that I've been using for months now. Again, because there's not a lot going on at the moment, I don't feel the need to have more than one page dedicated to my weekly to-do lists and my daily to-do lists. So it's still working for me. I'm gonna stay with it. Along the side of this spread, instead of doing a doodle every week, I'm going to write down the name of an important or influential or interesting person of Jamaican heritage so that I can learn more about and celebrate their life, as a way to kind of incorporate learning about Black history and my own cultural history as well. So the person on this week is Mary Seacole, who I already knew a little bit about, but I'm going to learn more about her. But she's a badass if you don't know who she is. She was a Jamaican nurse in the Crimean War. She was a contemporary of Florence Nightingale, and Florence Nightingale did not like her, which I don't know why that makes me happy, but it does. I just like the fact that Florence Nightingale didn't like her. But yeah, Mary Seacole was brilliant. So because she was a British citizen, because Jamaica was a British colony, she went to the British government and said, can you finance me to go to the Crimea and help the soldiers as a nurse? And the British government said no, because she was a black woman and they were hella racist back in the day. So she was like, stuff you guys, I'm going anyway, raised her own funds and used her own money and went anyway to the Crimea, set up a infirmary and like a shop selling kind of food and restoratives, and the soldiers freaking loved her. And when she got back to Britain, because obviously she'd used all her own money, she was kind of destitute, and all of the soldiers petitioned and clubbed together to raise funds for her so that she could have a comfortable retirement until the end of her life. And it's sad that until recently she'd kind of been forgotten by history. I only learnt about her by accident because I happened to read about her in a book when I was in primary school, and she's always kind of stuck with me, Mary Seacole. So yeah, it seemed fitting that she would be my first Jamaican heritage person in the month of July. But for the rest of the weeks, I will be obviously finding new people so I can broaden my knowledge, which I'm looking forward to. So this is my final flip through of my monthly setup for July. I'm actually really proud and happy with how it turned out, and I cannot wait to use these spreads for the whole of next month.
So that was my bullet journal setup for July. I really do enjoy making these videos at the end of every month for you, and I really hope that you enjoy watching them. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really help me to grow my channel. Subscribe for more mostly theatre content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye friends!